Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's 8:39, 5 Live Breakfast with Rachel Burden and Phil Williams. The leader of the Catholic Church in Scotland and the most senior Roman Catholic in the United Kingdom told us just before 8 o'clock this morning that government plans to allow gay marriage would shame the UK in the eyes of the world. Cardinal Keith O'Brien says he thinks the idea of redefining marriage is a grotesque subversion of a universally accepted human right.
Civil partnerships are allowed and recognised in law, and we all acknowledge that at this present time. But there is no way I would like civil partnerships to be defined as marriage. Marriage is a universal human right, it's recognised as such, and marriage has always been recognised as the union of one man and one woman, living together in love for one another and for the procreation and education of children. And one cannot, I would maintain, change the definition of just what marriage is.
Well, let's talk to the Conservative MPs, Peter Bone and Nadhim Zahawi. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Morning, Rachel.
Peter Bone, marriage is about one man and one woman and the procreation of children.
Correct.
Putting it very simply.
You got it spot on.
That's not what I say. That's what the Cardinal was telling us.
Yeah, he's got it right.
And that is absolutely how you define marriage.
I just think marriage is between one man and one woman, been like that for 2,000 years. And it's like, if you're trying to make it something else, you're rather like saying an apple is a pear when it clearly isn't.
Nadhim Zahawi.
Well, I don't agree, and I'd just like to burst a myth that the Cardinal's been spreading on air and in the newspapers. Article 16 of the Declaration of Human Rights actually says that men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality or religion, have the right to marry and to found a family. It doesn't say that marriage will be between men and women only. And I think as Conservatives, we should be supporting civil partnerships moving towards marriage between women and women, men and men, because having a fabric of society that is held together by strong relationships is a Conservative value. So I'm actually, I've listened to the Cardinal today and I can't agree with him, I'm afraid.
Peter Bone, there are people, and there's been a strong response, as you'd imagine, from our listeners to this. There are people who say, what a breath of fresh air, a man who has moral compass, that he speaks for the majority of those in the UK. But there are other people absolutely appalled by what he's saying, who say the Catholic Church should be focusing rather more on issues close to home, and that, well, look, enforced celibacy or the abuse of young children is unnatural, not same-sex marriage.
Well, I mean, since I spoke out, I've had hate mail saying rot in hell, but equally I've had a very nice text from a gay man who says, I quite agree with you, we shouldn't be, it's inappropriate to redefine marriage. Where I take difference from my colleague is this is not a party political issue, this isn't a Conservative, Liberal, Labour, this is a matter of conscience, and to try and pretend that it's Conservative or Liberal or whatever to support same-sex marriage, I think is absolutely outrageous, and certainly not a single party put it in their manifesto. And if you're going to redefine something that's been there for 2,000 years, it should be put before the electorate in your manifesto, and people then decide whether to support or not that candidate.
Your leader made it a party political issue, though, didn't he, by bringing it up at the Conservative Party conference. And he says, and let's just remind people, he says, I don't support gay marriage despite being a Conservative, I support gay marriage because I'm a Conservative.
And he was absolutely wrong. When I heard him say that, I nearly threw up.
Pretty strong. Why?
It is pretty strong because it should not. This is a matter of conscience. It should not be tied into a party issue. And if the party's going to try and whip us through the lobbies on this, I think there'll be an almighty rebellion.
Nadhim Zahawi, is there a direct contradiction between supporting same-sex marriage and being a Conservative?
I don't think so, and I think that my colleague, with all respect to him, is wrong on this. I think the party is overwhelmingly in support of our position. I think the country is in overwhelming support. It cannot be wrong to have strong relationships, whether they be between a man or a woman or a woman, or a man and a man. And if you think about it, at the moment, you can go to have a civil ceremony in a registry office conducted by the same human being, but you can't call it marriage. And an hour later, you can have a man and a woman walk in, have a same ceremony and call it a marriage. I mean, that is just completely wrong. And I think that people, and we'll have to see what the polling evidence is on this, I think people will be on the side of those who are calling for this to be upgraded to marriage, and actually will strengthen the institution of marriage. I don't agree with my colleague that this is political. I think it actually goes to the heart of what a Conservative is.
It's
the
making
DNA.
It political again.
No, it's not, Peter.
Well, why do you say things like that? You
Because
can have your view, and I
Conservatives-
absolutely respect your view, but don't pretend it's party political, that it's Conservative or not, and accusing me of not being a Conservative. I find that hugely offensive.
I haven't accused you of being a non-conservative. I'm just saying Conservatives believe in strong relationships that hold together through thick and thin, through the ebb and flow of life. And those relationships can be very strong between a man and a man, a woman and a woman, as well as a man and a woman.
Absolutely, but that doesn't make it a marriage. It's as clear. Marriage is between a man and a woman, and that's as clear as night and day.
Do we get, Nadhim Zahawi, do we get too hung up on this thing about marriage versus civil partnership?
Well, I just think we should celebrate those partnerships and call it a marriage. Everyone already does in the real world, by the way. Marriage, the Cardinal says, may outdate the state, but the laws of the land have been written by the state, and marriage is no longer the sole purview of the church. People can choose to marry outside of the church, as I said earlier. And I think it's good to celebrate it. It's good for the fabric of society. It's good for children. There's many studies that have been done in America and elsewhere to show that children brought up in the same-sex marriage or relationship or civil partnership actually do just as well as those children brought up in marriage between a man and a woman.
The other interesting thing, Peter Bone, element of this discussion earlier was that the Cardinal very clearly defined marriage as being an institution for procreation. So what about the childless couple, for example, or the couple who, for whatever reason, cannot have children or choose not to have children? Does that in some way take away from the validity of their marriage?
Sorry, I wasn't here to defend everything the Cardinal said. I was just to put forward my very straightforward
No, I know.
view
I just
that
wanted
it's
to.
a man.
And what is your view on that?
My view is that a marriage is between a man and a woman, whether there are children or not. So, for me, it's a very, very simple issue, and I'm fully supportive of civil partnerships of equal rights. But I just say that a marriage is between a man and a woman, and full stop. And that's why I don't like people interpreting my views in different ways from that.
Peter Bone, thank you.
Thank you.
Nadhim Zahawi as well. Many thanks for your thoughts too. So after 9 o'clock, it's your call. What do you think? Simple question. Do you support gay marriage? Would allowing same-sex couples to marry expand the sum of human happiness? Or should it be reserved for a man and a woman only? Call me on 0500 909 693. The lines are open now. I'll warrant that you might have a thought on this, an opinion, and I'd love to hear it from you. You can send us a text as well on 85058.
On digital.